Hi everybody, this is Shrack. Welcome back. Today I have a special one for you. I've received a Win Wing Orion HOTAS. In full disclosure, I purchased this with my own money. I'm not being sponsored in any way. Just wanted to show you how it came, my experience with this, the time frames involved, because I know it's coming from China. I live in the United States. It could potentially take a long time for something to get here. In my experience, I ordered this. It came pretty much within a week. The two boxes on your right are the handles, the joystick for the F18 and the throttle handle. The two boxes on the left, this is the base for the throttle and the base for the joystick. The two boxes on the right came within 6 days. I want to say 5 days maybe. I was really surprised at the time frame that it came. The boxes on the left took a couple extra days. Pretty much everything was here within about a week of ordering it. Now, in full disclosure, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so forgive me for not having the proper lighting equipment, for not having a proper studio. I just do this on my spare time for my own enjoyment and to sometimes help you guys when I see that there's a deficit in some information out there about video games. Here is the package for the Orion HOTAS. 4 boxes. One complaint is that everything is shown on the outside of the shipping labels. If anybody knows anything about these products, they know that they're expensive, and if they see it sitting on a doorstep, they could steal it. So my one gripe is that everything's printed here and labeled on the boxes. I wish that it was a little bit more discreet, just for security purposes. I will open each of these boxes. I'll set it up. I'll show you how it works, kind of my impression. So let's go ahead and open the handles first, and then we'll open the bases. We'll then assemble it and set it up on the computer. I've already installed the companion application on the computer that is not required. I downloaded it from the website. It's very straightforward on how to download it and how to install it. I have not connected anything because I haven't even unboxed it yet. So let's get started. So we'll start with the F18 joystick HOTAS. Let's open it up, and you can see it is very well packaged, very well labeled. And here you can see that the box pretty much was a very snug fit in the shipping box. It is well labeled, definitely in Chinese and English, and it looks very professional. Now let's open the throttle handle. So you can see both are very well labeled in both English and Chinese. There's nice pictures of each of the joystick grip and the throttle handle on the box. It's a very professional looking box, and it was a very snug fit in the shipping box. So let's open these. Okay, so like I said, I'm not a professional YouTuber. My camera just turned itself off, and I've now had to repackage these in the way that they were packaged. I did the best I could, but I wanted to open them with you guys, showing you how they are packaged. So let's start with the handle. It's sandwiched in styrofoam, and it does come with some instructions basically telling you to download the SimAppPro program. I'm going to put that back in the box. It comes with a nice lid for your styrofoam, and the HOTAS comes in plastic. Sandwiched in this nice clamshell styrofoam. Wrapped in plastic for protection. And you can tell it feels substantial. It's a little bit lighter than I would have expected for something this size, but it definitely feels metal. It's very solid. All the button presses feel really good. I've read some reviews and watched some reviews of people complaining that the second detent is a little bit too hard. Maybe I'm just stronger than you guys. This feels like it's a very appropriate strength. This feels very good. I've never had something like this before. This hat slides around and depresses. My previous joystick was this Thrustmaster T1600 over in the corner and the Thrustmaster throttle over in the other corner. This is a major upgrade for me. Comes with a little wire sticking out the bottom. Finger presses, almost every finger is utilized. It's great. So this is a, feels like an 8-way with a detent. Just a little moving sliding joystick with a detent. 4-way with a detent button. 4-way with the detent. 2-stage trigger. Did want to mention there's some rubbing evident here and here, which I'm not sure if you can see on the camera. Just from the packaging, that might be a big deal to some. It's not a big deal to me. Everything feels great in terms of quality here. Now let's move on to the throttle handle. Okay, and with this, it opens very similarly. It is also packaged in styrofoam, and it comes with instructions for downloading SimAppPro. If you want the Chinese version, you can read it in Chinese. A lid for your styrofoam, and it comes in 2 pieces. Wrapped in plastic. This does feel a bit heavier duty. And it comes with some screws. Don't lose your screws. So this is the left part of the grip. Ooh. And those buttons feel excellent. I think there are only 3 buttons, 2 buttons in a switch, 2-way switch. Feels excellent. A little bit of rubbing on the paint here. Everything feels great. Pull out the right side of the throttle grip. Again, it comes with some screws. Don't lose your screws. And the right side. Again, very smooth joystick here with a detent. Forward, back, up, down, detent. Up, down, forward, back, detent, forward. Interesting. So this one is a forward and it stays. And the back returns. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. And then there's a button there. Feels very quality. But like I said, you can see the button here stays forward, but it's momentary back. That's it. No detent, no up down. That's it. No up down, just a 2-stage button with back returning to center, forward staying forward. Here's the joystick base. Let me open it. Okay, it appears they have a checklist. They've got everything here checked off except for a fixing plate. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to receive a fixing plate, but it looks like here I should have a fixing plate. Okay. That was unexpected. I guess the fixing plate comes in one piece and it's not packaged in anything other than the shipping box. It's a solid piece of metal. A nice quality braided coated cable. Goes USB. Got some suction cups here with, looks like some set screws. A whole bag for just an Allen wrench. I'm glad they included the Allen wrench. This is a solid piece of foam and it's just packaged in here. Looks like pieces come out that trap it in. And there you have it. Here's the base. It's a pretty substantial feeling base, wrapped in plastic. And again, instructions for downloading the SimAppPro. Okay, and now I've laid out everything for you. Let's open the joystick base. I've heard people complain that this is not centered. I have no complaints yet, but I'm fairly inexperienced with this. This does feel like cheap pleather, but it's nice that it's there, and that feels nice and solid. Now we've also got an entire bag just for a little Allen wrench and some suction cups. Looks like 4 suction cups, and also some screws and set screws, and the coated braided USB cable along with the base. Now we have the throttle base, or as it says, the Orion generic throttle system. Again, a depiction of what is inside the box is on the outside of the box. That is my only complaint with the packaging so far and the shipping time frame. And here you can see that everything's checked off, all the parts inside this box. It's a very snug fit from the shipping box. Let me pull it out. The box looks professional with a nice picture of what is inside, and it is in English and in Chinese. Caution, throttle handles not include! Exclamation mark. Again, we have a nice USB braided coated cable, a bag of accessories. It looks like the plates that mount the throttle grips. Not sure what this plastic black piece is, or maybe it's metal. A lot of screws and some suction cups. And it's well labeled left and right. Again, some instructions on downloading the SimAppPro program. So that's some nice packaging with some cutouts to press down in these key points to keep the throttle base where it's supposed to be. Again, the packaging here does seem really well done. We have a bag just for 2 Allen wrenches now. And let me try to get this out of here. This looks hefty. So that was actually well done. These lips were actually tucked under the styrofoam, and I should have removed that. This side didn't remove though, but it made it pretty challenging to pull out. Okay, and here is the throttle base. As you can see, it is fairly substantial. It's got some nice mounting holes, a couple of scratches here. That USB does appear to be centered. There's a little scratch there, some scratches here. I'm not sure how much was done in shipping versus me just sliding it just now on my desk. Again, it's not a big issue for me. However, if you're looking for perfection, there might be a scratch or some abrasion just from the packaging. You've got some cables tethered down with some tape, a 2-position switch, 2-position switch, now it says push to release or lock. You can push it down, but you don't need to. Yeah, I'm not sure what the push is for. A 2-position switch, 2-position switch, a 3-position switch, a nice smooth slider with a center detent, another slider with a center detent, just a push button, it's just a turn knob with some detents. Feels like it's about every 1/8 or 1/16 of a turn it stops, and those feel great. Jettison button feels good. A 3-position switch, a good push button, another 3-position switch, another 3-position switch, and again these knobs with little detents about every 1/8 or 1/16 of a turn. Overall, it feels great. Let me just pull off this tape. Okay, moving these out of the way. And this one's kind of stuck. There we go. Now that feels very smooth. And I love the afterburner detent. All the way back to the engine shutoff detent. This is an excellent feeling throttle. Alright, first I want to assemble the joystick base and the joystick handle. There's not a lot to it here. I have some suction cups, the Allen wrench, which let me just pull that out. First I'm going to assemble the suction cups to the metal base here, and they do feel like a very good quality rubber that's going to make a good seal. Hopefully, longevity wise, it lasts a long time. So I've got 4 countersunk screws along with 3 Allen set screws. I hope that's the right amount here. There's nothing else in the bag. So I can already tell that I'm going to need a tool to tighten these appropriately. I will be right back. If you do want to use a tool, I don't think you need a tool. You can probably tighten the suction cup nuts just by hand. But if you do want to use a tool, I wouldn't suggest over tightening them, but it is a 7mm. I just got the smallest little ratchet that I have just so that I can get it a little past finger tight. One thing I just noticed, clearly I installed the suction cups on the wrong sides. While installing the second suction cup, I noticed the countersink here. That's for the bottom of the base. It's going to be the bottom side. So when you're installing this, make sure that you have your countersunk screws are going to fit right in there. That's going to go up into the base to secure the base. So make sure that you have the countersunk side on the bottom when you're installing the suction cups. So I'm going to uninstall this one and reinstall it on the other side. Okay, I have the suction cups on with the countersink facing the bottom. I'm assuming that because these holes are not centered, they're centered this way, but not this way. I'm assuming that is for this extra length here. So I'm going to put it like this. Again, you can probably, unless it's not a symmetrical square, you could probably install it any orientation you want, but I think it's intended for the square side to go towards the longer side here, if that makes sense. And here it'll be in these small screw holes. Now I've got all 4 in. I haven't tightened them, but I'm going to just go around and make them just a little bit snug here. I'm not going to reef on it with the long section of the Allen wrench. That's probably going to over tighten it, seeing that there's only a few threads in contact here. These are short screws. You don't want to start stripping screws. Now I've just put this on the table. I haven't even pushed it down, but those suction cups are locking it in place. I was not expecting it to be that secure just from its own weight. With this, I don't see any assembly required. I'm just going to plug in the wire and secure it with the screw. So there is a little orientation. You're supposed to just pay attention to that. There's not a lot to play with here, but it will tuck up inside. And there we have it. The feeling feels very good. It's not moving around on the desk. Like I said, these suction cups really hold it in place. Feels very good. If you do want, you can loosen this and you can rotate this, which I believe if you have the extension and you have it in between your legs, it's appropriately rotated to fit the angle of your arm when it's in between your legs. For now, I'm going to straighten it. Alright, and that completes the setup of the joystick handle to the joystick base. Just things of note, I did not use these little set screws. I am going to put them back in the bag in case I need them in the future. And moving on to the throttle, it's a little bit more involved here. There's a bit more to assemble. Again, I'm not sure what this black piece is here. We'll find out when we open it. These are 2 countersunk screws in each bag that came with the grip handles, and 2 Allen wrenches that came with the base, along with this bag that came with the base and the USB cable. So this does appear to be the locking mechanism between the 2 handles. Another countersunk screw, 4 suction cups, again good quality suction cups. These are wrapped in cellophane. They mount to the grips here, and more countersunk screws, and that's it for the bag. Let's see, so they gave us 8 countersunk screws, along with these 4 countersunk screws for the grip handles. First of all, I'm going to install the suction cups, again with a 7mm socket, just to get it a little bit past finger tight. So I'm noticing there are quite a few number of holes on the top and the bottom. I believe the suction cups go in the bigger holes. As you can see, there's a little scratch next to this hole. The 2 bigger holes on the far corners. And one thing I noticed is that if you did want to tighten these with a socket, there's no clearance. You'll have to get an extension to get in there with the clearance. It's also not a lot of space for fat fingers like mine to get in there. There's probably only a couple of millimeters of space between the nut and the wall of the base, so you would have to use an extension if you can't just finger tighten it. I'm finger tight right now, but I'm going to go get an extension and finish this correctly. Okay, and now I'm back. You can see I have an extension that's going to allow me to get in there and get these a little bit past finger tight. And now they're tightened. Now these suction cups are very good quality sticky cups. There really aren't instructions that come with this thing, so I'm kind of just figuring this out as I go. Most of it's pretty intuitive, but we'll see if mounting these is as intuitive as the rest of it has been. Okay, and these feel very interesting. They're very gritty, lightweight, solid, feels very high quality. Now this does say left, so I'm assuming that goes on the left. I'm not sure if it's inside or outside, and this says the right. I'm going to guess they're countersunk. Again, the right side, countersunk to the center line of the throttle. Now I'm just going to assemble it. You can watch this in fast forward. So these countersunk screws do match the smaller of the 2 hex wrenches. Again, as a reminder, when assembling something, it's always good to set the screws without tightening them. I put them in until the countersunk portion kind of helps center the piece. Did not tighten them until the end. You also don't want to over tighten them because you're tightening into aluminum, which can strip very easily. So do not over tighten these. And now I'll do the other side. Something to note, this length can easily scratch the surface. Be careful. when tightening these or when using this on these lower screws not to let that come in contact with the painted surface. Something to note, for 3 screws on each side for a total of 6, they gave me 8 screws, leaving 2 screws left over. I'm not sure if that's intended to be spares or what. Maybe I missed something. Also, I'm not sure how to install this piece. Okay, and one thing that I just noticed, this piece does have a flat spot that aligns it with the right side. I did not install this correctly. I believe I'm supposed to install it through the hole before I install the plate. I'm going to remove it, attempt to install it correctly. I will walk you through that. So this piece is supposed to go through here somehow first. Weird, it fits this way but not the other way. Okay, so you unscrew this and that will pull that out and allow you to slide this through. You then want to align that flat spot, which it won't fit anyway. There we go. You want to align that flat spot there and put this back through here and then screw in the handle. Let me give you another angle on that. Okay, so this is how the part comes. You're going to have to remove this piece, which just unscrews. Remember, this is actually on a magnet, so this magnet pulls it back in, which is nice, just like that. And it goes up in notches into there. To get it through the hole though, you're going to have to remove that piece. It just simply unscrews. You slide this through, screw it back in. And then you take this plate with that notch and line it up with the flat edge right there. So having that secured, I can now line up these holes and I can secure it in. And that will lock it in. One thing to note, there are instructions in PDF form on WinWing's www.simstore.com. You can download the instructions. They don't appear to be the best instructions, but they do help with confusing parts like this. So I'm going to reassemble this. Okay, and now I've got that assembled. So as I mentioned before, each handle came with 2 screws. It actually did come shipped with screws already in place. Having that in mind, I'm going to attach those and use the screws that are already in place here. So as you can see, there is a spacer plate. I do not know if that's required. It seems like it's a much better fit without it. I did install this one with the spacer plate. I think I'm going to install this one, the right grip, without the spacer plate. I'm looking on the instructions and I don't see anything about removing a spacer plate. However, they don't show it in their drawings, so I don't think you are supposed to use the spacer plate. All it says is assemble the right grip, connect the grip, panel, and grip with 5 screws. Repeat the process for the left grip. All the pictures don't show a spacer plate like this. And what I just did there is I dropped a screw inside of here. I'm going to just turn it over and pull that screw out. I was waiting for that to happen. Okay, there we go. You do have to be careful. There is a cavity inside of here. If this happens to you, try not to lose it inside of that cavity. I almost did. And that appears much better. There's not a huge gap here anymore. I'm not sure why these spacer plates were included. I don't know what material it is. It does feel cheaper than the typical plastics or metal. I'm not sure why they were included, but it's a much better fit without them. And this is how it looks with both the throttle handles installed. Now I'm going to connect these cables, and immediately I notice a problem. In the all the way back position, these are not long enough to reach. Okay, and one thing I noticed is that this cable doesn't seem long enough. You have to bring it forward before you can install them, so they're kind of coiled up. In the all the way forward position, these cables are very scrunched up. In the all the way back position, you actually kind of have to stretch it out a little bit. See, this one's tight and it's still not all the way back. That's all the way back and it's a very tight cable. I'm not sure about the longevity of that and the fact that it does actually pinch itself when moving it forward. I'm hoping with a little bit of time, the plastics and rubbers will create a memory and they won't actually want to get into the pinch zone. But right now that is very close. I'll give you another angle of that. Okay, and this is what I mean. All the way back, the cables are very stretched out. And then when I move it forward, you can see it coils underneath this arm. Eventually, the arm pushes it out of the way, just barely. But it's very scrunched up, and I do fear that moving it a little too quick will get that caught in between this pinch point. Same here, you can see it's kind of coming underneath. It's kind of coming underneath there, and then the arm pushes it out of the way. So it's not only crunching up significantly and stretching out, it is also grinding the cable sheathing against this metal as the metal pushes it out of the way. It doesn't seem like the best design at this point. It does function though. So now let's get it set up. So I'm just setting everything up. I've set up the joystick and the throttle. The throttle has nice illumination, as you can see. And I plugged in the throttle with the cable. It's now plugged in, as you can see. It's illuminated. Both cables appear to be the same. There's just a word on the cabling. The cabling from end of plug to end of plug, and I only measured this one, I'm assuming that one's the same, is 77.5 inches, which is about 6.5 feet, just under 6.5 feet, and that's a nominal 2 meters. The cabling is this nice braided material that's coated in this rubber material. The rubber material, as you can see, does not have much memory. It's a very soft material, which makes it nice to work with. Anyway, just a note on the cabling. It does appear to be a very high quality cable, and it's ample length for me to even run it from over here to my computer, which is over on this corner, through the wiring clips that I have. I've now wired it correctly, and there's plenty of length to go straight back and then along the desk and then up to the computer. So I'm very happy with the cable length and the quality of these cables. Okay, I've now finished the installation, just plugging them in, running the wires to my computer. Both wires have ample length. It's a nice high quality wire that appears the nominal is 2 meters. It is nice that they are removable from here rather than secured and not removable. If I don't want to use this, I can simply unplug it, move the wires out of the way, remove this somewhere else, and it cleans up my desk quite a lot. In the past, I'd have to just shove these off into the corners. This will open up my desk space quite significantly when I want to use it for actual desk space. Moving on to SimAppPro. Moving on to the computer, we are going to open the SimAppPro application. It says device has new firmware, please update. There's 2 OKs. Okay. Now I haven't done anything other than install the software and plug these devices in. Firmware update. Update. Tip: to update the firmware, it is best to use the original USB interface of the motherboard. Okay. And update joystick base too. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the throttle. So I've got the throttle, pulling everything back to the detent. So one thing I didn't know, you can push all of these. And I'm going to update the handle and the throttle base as well. Okay, everything updated. Let me check the buttons here. Yep, that works. Again, like I said, this button sticks to the front and returns to center from the back. I'm not sure if that's its intended way of working, but I've downloaded WinWing's default settings in the app here. You can see, I just downloaded WinWing's default version right here. You download it here, it'll pop up over here. These are your local files, these are the cloud files. You got to do that for both the throttle and the joystick. And then I clicked run. Not sure what that does. Jettison, press that. That is correctly assigned. Let's see what the throttle does here. So it's got thrust left and right. So I'm not sure there's anything past the detent there. The afterburner detent clearly shown there. Okay, that button is cage uncage. COM 1, 2, mids A, mids B. Speed brake extend, that's why it holds. Speed brake retract. ATC engage disengage. RAID FLIR FOV. Throttle designator. Radar elevation is working. So far everything is working. Okay, so not everything is bound correctly. That's fine. See, these buttons aren't bound to anything. Air to ground, air to air, extend, retract, that's not bound correctly. Want retract up, extend down. It's now just down is extend retract, so I can cycle it. I did rebind this so that up is retract, down is extend. Before it was just down was extend retract and up did nothing, so you'd have to cycle it. I did change the parking brake, wasn't correctly assigned. Hopefully I have it correctly assigned now. Park is pull, which in the 18 is pulling the brake. Off is stow, which is releasing and letting it go. So I'm hoping that's assigned correctly. I did assign this button. This button had no assignment before. It is now assigned to pilot salute. So when I go to full burner, I just press that and I salute and they will shoot me off the cat on the carrier. These did not have any assignments. As you can tell, it says F16, F15, A10. These did not have any assignments. I changed this to auto start, auto stop, just in case I need. These buttons don't have any assignment. Pushing down on all of these also do not have assignments. These sliders don't have assignments. I'm sure I will find a use for all of these. In the meantime, I do know that some of these buttons also don't have assignments, like up, down, depress. I will save those. It's always good to have unassigned switches when you're starting out so that you can find something that does work for you, and if you have a need, you have a button that's available. Anyway, I'm gonna do some flying with this. I'll see how it works. There's definitely gonna be a learning curve learning all these buttons and feeling the difference. One thing to note, during assembly, I only use the smaller Allen wrench for the screws. The larger Allen wrench is for adjusting the tension. So I did have to tighten the right side a little bit because Without it, it would fall on its own. I just want just enough so that it doesn't fall, but I don't want to have to really force it. So now I've got them clipped together and I'm excited to use this. So in summary, this is overall a great quality product. It feels solid, hefty, it feels significant. It helps you feel like you're in the cockpit more so than not having something like this. It helps with that tactile feeling. It can certainly help when you try to move to VR, knowing where switches are and having that feeling so you don't have to look at your keyboard and press the buttons. It changes the game. The smooth throttle input, the smooth joystick input will only help to improve your sense of immersion when playing in games like DCS. The switches are very high quality. The knobs are high quality. The sensors appear to be very smooth and detailed. It all helps with that sense of immersion. The quality of product is really displayed with this Orion HOTAS. The shipping times were excellent. Coming from China, it exceeded all my expectations. The packaging was good. It protected the products. There was some abrasion from simple vibrations. That can be expected. I'm not sure if that can be eliminated. That's the only complaint in terms of packaging. Everything else was very high quality. Room for improvement. I think that the boxes that these things came in should be more discreet just for security purposes. Having a blank box, you don't want everybody out there knowing what's on your doorstep when it's delivered or when it's being delivered by the delivery guy. So I think that being discreet with the shipping box should be a higher priority, have a higher security level with shipping around the world. Also, I do have some concern about the longevity of these wires, just because of all the flexural and stretching during normal operation. Granted, the wires are only squished or stretched to their limit when it's in the afterburner detent or in the off detent. Changing from HOTAS to HOTAS and changing the feel of everything, you're going to have to relearn where switches are, what the feel is of the aircraft. It's going to change everything. Anyway, I'm Shrack. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, please like and subscribe to my channel. Have a nice day.